All right. Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday Eve to you. I don't know about you, but I was so looking forward to get it out of my classroom today. People, I love my students, but when the season change or the seasons bring about changes, so do our children. But I love my darlings. I hope you got a chance to listen last week. The show was phenomenal. We had culinary artists. We had a culinary artist that brought in some mad, delicious, sinful chocolate cake, people. It was made out of dark chocolate and get this, beer. And when I say we devoured it, we devoured it. We had a phenomenal playwright in the house last week. And the conversation was so good because the play actually tied into biblical meanings and signs of the times. But we have a awesome show for you this afternoon. Today I have Detroit's only Dionne, the street author, and he'll be talking about his forthcoming book that's coming out in August of 2014. And we will have our cook, Crystal, who will be coming in to talk to us about her delectable, delicious food items that she sells. So let's get this show going. Welcome to the Cooks and Books Show, everybody. It's Adria Young, your host, and we're going to get it going. And I've got my first guest in the studio live today. I want to say hello, Dionne, and it's a pleasure to have you on. Welcome, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us. So I've been reading about you, and your life story is so interesting. And it seems that you have a journey. And your journey basically brought you into the light of your God-given gift, which is writing. So why don't you talk to us about that?
I've been, back in the day, I used to do a little rapping, so I always did a little writing.
Okay.
But after a couple of little beats I did, I realized it was time for me to change my lifestyle and do something different.
Okay.
So with the lifestyle I lived as a hustler, doing what I needed to do in the game and getting caught up, I realized that wasn't the way to go.
Exactly. So, it's okay because sometimes many of us in different ways, we learn lessons, life lessons. Some we don't get it right the first time. We get our heads bumped the second time. And then if we tired of that, we'll get it right and we'll get on that good path. But through it all, you perfected your craft as a writer. So tell us about that. What made you get into reading? And what made you say, you know what, I'm going to be a writer and I'm going to become an author?
Well, keep it brutally honest, when you locked up,
I'm sorry.
can't do nothing but write and read, But where I was at, they didn't have no books.
What?
Yeah, so I began writing my story down.
Okay.
And guys became very intrigued and interested in my story. And they were like, man, this your story, man. It's a good book, man. So I continued on writing. As I finished that book, I started writing more. And I became the street author in prison.
Wow. And that's wonderful because, again, people fail to realize that some of the stories, classified as hood literature, is the reason that for some of us who never read before started reading, because we could either relate to those stories directly or indirectly. In other words, if we couldn't familiarize ourselves with that, we knew someone that could familiarize ourselves with that. Okay, so you started reading, and I guess because the brothers who were also on lock were bored too, and then you say, I'm not feeling the fact that this facility didn't have books, but they didn't have books, so you started writing, and everybody started really enjoying what you wrote. Tell me the characters, maybe in one of your books.
Okay, I got a book that's called Heads and Tails. Like you just said, a lot of guys can relate to that street life. So the Heads and Tails, it's a book about some guys grew up in the city. They did music, but they didn't have the money to come up in the music.
Uh-huh.
So they called themselves trying to hustle to get the money, and they started making so much money, they lost focus. This book is based on some guys out of Detroit, Durrell, a couple of kids, Durrell, Martez, neighborhood guys who came up in the city that I know about, And so I kind of put a twist to it. But a lot of my books is based about what I seen, saw, and experienced, and I just twist it around.
Yeah, and that usually reads for a good read. And, people say fiction is not real, but in reality, as much as I read, I know that fiction books are not real, but there is a touch of realism to those books because some of those stories are just too doggone realistic. You know, they're classified as fiction and not real, but I'm like, okay, you know,
Right,
this is
right.
just too, this is realistic fiction. Let's just
Right.
categorize it as that.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, so congratulations on getting home and
Thank
writing your book. Are you self publishing, sir, or are you
you. Yeah, I'm self-publishing.
okay?
Be on publishing.
Say that again?
Be on publishing.
Okay. And the first book that I'm so happy for you for that's coming out in August of 2014. Tell the listening audience about that book.
Okay, the first book that's based off my life. It's the autobiography of Dionne, a real life thug story.
Okay.
You know, and I talk about growing up in Detroit, how I got into drugs, started hustling, how I went to prison, got out of prison, got back in the game, went back to prison. Until I got fed up and I couldn't take it no more. I was facing 30, 50 years actually.
Jesus.
And I really woke up. And in that book, you'll learn that I ended up with 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And by the grace of God, I ended up getting that time overturned.
Mm-hmm.
And I got out December 26th.
Okay.
So it's actually a part one and part two to my autobiography.
That's awesome.
So,
Who is the main character in your Dionne, the autobiography?
the main character? Of course, me.
Okay. And so you said there's part one, and there's part two. So it's told from first person's point of view, basically. And then other people that come along.
Right, you got people that came in my life at those times throughout my years, family members, friends I hustled with. Different peoples, When I went to prison, I take you all through the cells of prison when I was locked up. So, and I'm letting you hear their voice, hear my voice, what I went through, the pain,
Yeah.
Crying because my family was hurting.
Absolutely, yeah.
That, I wasn't only flicking pain on myself, but I was flicking on the ones who love me as well.
Right.
So, once I started feeling their pain and realized I was hurting them too, I had to change. I had to do something different.
Okay, Dionne, tell us the age, if you don't mind, if I'm not becoming too personal. Tell us when you initially first went in and how old you were.
I was 17 when I first went in.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, you were just a baby yourself and got caught up doing the wrong stuff,
Right.
like a lot of young males, good males making bad choices,
Right.
and unfortunately have to pay for those consequences.
Exactly.
Okay, so I teach. I have 33 boys in a room, and it's like we read. I make them read every day. But it's almost like pulling teeth. Can you reiterate the importance of young African American men getting to know a book and understanding that reading can be your guide to a great life? I mean, you're a prime example. You say you were locked up not once but twice, but because you decided to step out during your term and begin reading and understanding that through this knowledge, I can actually create a life that I want when I exit this situation. So let's talk about that because I got 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and 13-year-olds, and they think it's a game. They really do. I mean, I have to, be that tough mom and teacher, but just tell the audience the importance of young black men reading and understanding that if you don't do it, you will get caught up.
Exactly. Important is, you learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to learn something through reading than seeing it because you never really have to go through it. When you read something, you learn it by knowing knowledge is power.
Exactly.
It's like a lot of these quotes and books I read, poems, whatnot, by famous people and authors.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot from them. It's something you can take on through the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
You don't want to make the mistakes of other people made.
Yeah.
All the glamour look good, but in the end, it's not worth it.
Right. I think we called that, and I had created a monologue show several years ago called, with my business partner, Tracy Christian. It was called From the Outside Looking In. People are so busy looking on the surface and the outer core, and they saying, dang, that car, or he got that babe, and life looks good at that crib. And they don't understand what's going on in the inside, in the inside, what you're going through to maintain that level or in that lifestyle. Danger, because you never know who are turning back on you or who's really in it for you, a real friend or an enemy, Or better yet, even the one that you may share your bed with,
Exactly.
your wife, your companion.
Exactly.
You never know.
True.
Yeah.
After reading my book, The Autobiography, I mean, you will learn.
Mm-hmm.
You'll realize there's always a better way because the ways I took, it wasn't a better way.
Yes.
So after reading this book, I learned and realized all what I went through. You'll sit back and think and say, it's always a better way. It's definitely a better way. I can't take that road he took.
Yeah.
And then in part two, you will see me transcend into a better man.
Mm-hmm. So we see the evolving in part two.
Exactly.
That's terrific. We're going to take a break and then we're going to get back to talking to Dionne, the street author. You better not go anywhere. You better stay at urbannationradio.com. I'm your host, Adrienne Young with the Cooks and Books Show. Stay right there and don't go anywhere. Join me as I'm talking to Dionne. I repeat, not Dionne, forgive me. Don't go and look for Dionne, not Dionne. Don't look for Dionne's book come August. Look for Dionne. Look for Dionne's book come August. But we were talking about the importance of getting young men reading on that track now before it's too late. Did you want to add any more to that?
No, I mean, like one thing they need to know is knowledge is power.
Yes,
You get your knowledge from books.
you most certainly do. I couldn't agree with that
So
more.
you get your power from the books.
Absolutely. Okay, so as a child, 17 years old, they take you away from your family and your friends. What was that like, that experience, if you don't mind sharing it?
It was hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
Because you used to waking up with your family every day, and now you're waking up amongst guys and men you don't know, getting told what to do, when to go to battle.
Yeah.
And the only time you get to see your mother is maybe once a week.
Okay.
And when done, for God forbid if you out of state.
Right, because that's expensive.
Yeah. So it's hard. It ain't easy. It ain't nothing to brag about, nothing to be cool about.
Yeah. And unfortunately, so many young black men think that's cool, really, and are proud about it. And I'm like, you watch too much reality TV, Bo.
Right.
That's not how the real life goes. That is not how the real world operates. But back on a positive mode, just being out. Tell me, what was it like when you got out in August?
I got out in December 26th.
Okay.
Day after Christmas.
A day after Christmas.
And I was elated.
Okay.
It's a beautiful feeling. I was out of state. I was in Indiana.
Right.
And I'm from Detroit. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting visits maybe once or twice a week, a month.
Okay.
If that.
So I'm sorry if I misinformed or said something, but I read something about August, so I guess that's why I assumed.
Yeah, my book's coming out in August.
Yes, the books are coming out in August. That's the good thing. But you were released right before Christmas?
Day after Christmas.
Oh, I know the family had to absolutely love that. So you got an opportunity to start the new year off the right way.
The right way.
Amen to that. Yes.
Strongly and right.
Yes.
Your family.
That's right. And they say when we go through things in life, you really, really know who's in your corner when you go through some of the most difficult times in your life. I mean, people can hang around all the time when it looks hunky-dory, you're looking good, you smelling good, but where are you when I need you at the most pivotal times in my life,
Right. That's something else I learned by reading. I read a book and I think Suge Knight had said this. He said, when you locked up, you get to see who really love you, who really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Who really there for you, who really not.
Mm-hmm.
Who told the truth and who told the lies.
Right.
And I got to see all that.
Okay. Wow.
That was something I learned from, reading. So once again,
Yeah.
power.
But from doing the two bits, I mean, you seem to be doing amazing things. You not only have books or your first book coming out in August, you also said something about managing. So tell us about that because that's on the business side of things.
I got Tro Boys. It's a group out of Detroit. They rap. I'm managing them at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And we trying to get their first CD out. They got a mixtape out right now. We're trying to get their CD out sometime this year too.
Okay. And since you're managing them and now they have like a big brother manager, do you reiterate the importance of staying on the straight and narrow with them?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Like I said, the heads of tail. It's about guys who was in the music gang and they tried to go the drug route to get the fast money. The vesting. So I install a lot of that in them.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, these characters in the book it's somewhat their names. I took their names.
You revealed the situation and left the names on anonymous. I get you. Or yeah, anonymous. Left the names anonymous.
That's right.
Okay. So, how long is this book? How many pages will we be getting into with the first one? Because you said
About
they're part two.
um 200 and some,
That's a good number.
200 some pages.
Okay, that's a great number. May I ask, are your parents still living? Is your mom still living? Tell me what it was like when you got out the day after Christmas 2013. Your mom was able to touch her baby and just know that you're home for good. What was that like?
I mean, it was a feeling I really can't explain.
Okay.
It was like something that you waited for all your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know that song. So I waited all my life for this moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did. And I'm like a mama's boy.
Uh-huh.
I'm 40 years old.
Hey, don't worry about it. A lot of yeah.
I'm still like a mama's boy. And she there for me. She been there for me all my life. Ain't never turned her back on me.
Amen.
Call me every day. If I don't call her, so
Right.
it felt good. Just to hold my mother again and see my family and my kids.
Absolutely. And I know your daughters, you got a teenager and a young adult.
Yeah.
So wow, I know they're like, Dad's home. This is great. This is awesome. But it's really cool. I would love to run around and say, hey, my old man's an author. My daddy done wrote some books.
That's right. They feeling good about it. They try to support me. They try to pump me up around to their friends and whatnot.
Absolutely.
So you know how that goes. They proud just like I am.
Okay. Tell me if there was one thing, my young men in my classroom, the 11, 12, and 13-year-olds, if there is one thing that you could tell them outside of trying to keep them from going down that same path, what would you say to them in the event that they were thinking that they would make a bad choice? And not to just my class, but all young black men feeling like they got to do something, that's illegal. In the long run, that's going to get them caught up. What message would you share with them, Dionne?
I tell them it's always a better way.
Yeah.
It's always a better way to get paid. It's always a better way to get them cars. It's always a better way to get jewelry, without taking that other route.
Mm-hmm.
It just might take a little longer, but you can get all the things you want. If you're in prison, you can't get nothing.
No, and from what you were telling me, because I'm a reader, I'd be depressed as hell because I need to be able to read something. I can't help myself.
Right.
I'll be fidgeting.
Right.
Yeah.
I write everything. I wrote poetry.
Mm-hmm.
I got a book of poetry too. I'm working on right now. So, I did it all. As a reader, like you said, you be hungry for that knowledge. You want to read something.
Mm-hmm.
So I find mine in just writing.
Absolutely.
I call myself a walking book.
Yeah, and I like to read for entertainment too. So it's like my fun because my grandfather tortured us as kids, and I used to hate it. I'm like, why, granddaddy? Why are you turning the station? We're trying to watch Fred Sanford, and then you just go and turn the television in the middle of Fred calling Esther a big dummy. And I say to myself, oh, granddaddy never hardly let us watch TV, and he would control the television. And he would always watch the news. But you know what? I'm so grateful for that because when I say I'm not a TV person, to tell you the truth, I'm just really spending money on cable to watch OWN and a couple of other programs. I like my little entertainment, and sometimes I do watch a little bit of love and hip hop from time to time. But I like realistic. I like documentaries. I like biographies. I love self-help. I love OWN. You know what I mean? So I love to read, My TV, honestly, if I'm not trying to stay informed or brisk of what's going on, I don't even cut it on.
Right.
Yeah, so, the TV, sometimes people, if you're listening, you got to be careful about too much television that you take in. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because the dumb tube, you are what you become and what you take in and process.
Exactly. So documentary is always good.
Yeah.
Because, as they say, experience is the best teacher.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you experience something, you become one of the best teachers.
It sure can.
I just hope a lot of young guys listen to my book, read it, and realize what I've been through and that I want happy. I mean, they see the good moments,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to see more pain more than glory.
Yeah. So just for that little bit of that quote unquote fun, you gonna live a lot of years of hell. Let me say that again, y'all. That little bit time of fun because time flies by so fast. You gonna pay a lot of hell for that.
That's right.
And it's not worth it. And if you don't believe me, you can ask Dionne, the street author that's in the Urban Nation studio house tonight. He'll tell you straight up. Okay? So tell the audience your website. And in August, where you plan on having your actual book signing. I would love to attend. And if you don't know that, just let us know what your website is.
Yeah, it'll be on my website, so they can go to my website and find out, all the upcoming events and what's going on, where my book sign will be at, what day the book gonna be due to come out.
Okay, and you're on Facebook. Is it okay for people? Can you tell them what your Facebook name is, and they can follow you now?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook under Dionne the Street Author Harris, and my website is Dionne Harris 1.wix.com. BM Entertainment.
All right. I just got to say, a lot of people when they come out, and Dionne, when they're locked up, a lot of people say what they're going to do, and then they don't follow through. And then they end up back in the same, unfortunately, not so good situation again. But the fact that you are not just talking about it, you're doing it. You had a plan. You executed that plan. You said, hey, when I get out this time, I'm not going back. I'm going to write these books. I'm going to send a message. I'm going to do other things. I'm going to manage, music groups. I'm going to write my books. And I'm going to encourage young people, especially young African-American males, people. And I'm not being racist and I'm not being biased, but it just seems like those young men, our young men, are under attack. And if we don't get them back on the right page and let them see or allow them to see that there's something else planned for you. If you don't have a plan, you better believe there is a plan solely created for you for messing up. So the odds are already counted against you. So it's important to do the right thing. But Dionne, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show, and I would love to have you back on. And we'll talk about the success of the book signing and keep us posted. People, we are done with the book section, and it's now time to get into the cook section. Caterer, business owner, Crystal is in the house, and don't you go anywhere. We're going to take a brief break, and we'll be talking to Crystal. This is www.urbannationradio.com. Stay with me this Friday Eve. Hey, everybody, I'm back. We did the book. We learned our lessons. We were taught, because I feel like everybody has a situation, especially when you want to take your life and have the courage to tell your story. It becomes a testimony and a motivation for other people. So I want to give a shout out to my author and writer, Dionne, the street author, for sharing his testimony. So again, we are done with the book. And y'all know I'm greedy. It's time for the cook. It's time for the cook. So without further ado, I want to talk about this magnificent lady. And she is gorgeous, honey. The hair looks good.
Well, thank you.
All right, now you better work. But this food's looking real good, too. And Adria Young likes to get it in,
Well, that's
especially with
good.
good food. So I was reading your bio, and I was so impressed with so many things. You say your parents, your father,
Yes.
always told you that you would somehow eventually end up opening your restaurant. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm going to start off with at the age of 8,
Okay.
family members always told me that I was standing on a crate cooking.
Right.
Don't remember, but if they said it, I believe it.
I can visualize it because I burnt my hand frying chicken
Yeah.
with Nan. So you're standing on this crate, girlfriend.
Yes,
We're listening.
And I'm cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And as years go on,
Mm-hmm.
my father would always tell me, I'm going to get you a restaurant.
Oh.
And I would say, no,
Uh-huh.
I don't want a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I wanted to do hair.
Okay.
Which I did do hair for some years, but some way always come back to the kitchen. And time went on, and catering, I would hear people, just, oh, the food was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I never would say, oh, I made it. I'm not that type of person.
So you were just so humble and wouldn't even take credit for that good food.
I just
Girl.
hear it. So that motivated me and encouraged me. You need to start your own business. And which I did, just a little catering. And from there, I cooked at my church, became the director of the culinary ministry.
Yes.
I worked at a Christian Academy, Westside Christian Academy, where I was the director of the lunch program there. And I heard a message from my pastor at the beginning of this year. Now, prior to that, I was already tossing and turning with, am I going to quit my job to work my business full time? The very first sermon my pastor gave for 2014 was pursue and possess.
Say that again. Say, are you listening, people? Say them 2 P's again.
Pursue and possess. And everything that he was saying was already what I was thinking. So I'm sitting in my chair. I'm so excited. This is God speaking to me. And I'm hearing, okay, Lord, I hear you. I hear you. This is in January.
Okay.
So now I'm at work. I used to have a drive. This was the best job because I had nobody on my shoulder.
Right.
I would just go in the kitchen, do what I had to do, cook the food for the children and the staff, and they loved the food, always loved the food. And it started getting where I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
So I just started looking off into things, and I'm like, I'm not going. My birthday is March the 16th. I said, I will not be working at Westside when my birthday comes.
So you claimed it.
Yes.
I'm gonna give an internet. I hope I'm not clapping people's eardrums out, but you said in March you was gonna do the doggone thing.
Yes. So sometime in January, I talked it over with my husband, and thank God for him, because whatever I say, he's behind my back pushing me.
There's
He's
nothing like
"Go
a
for it."
good man
Yeah,
to push
so,
that. Yes.
Yeah, I gave them my 2-week notice in February. So I took the month of February out. I took 1 week off to prepare myself to do my business full time, and it's been going since.
And it has, because I had a shout out to Monique Hunt, who is a sister and also a caterer, and you came to mind. She's like, you gotta have my friend on here. She is no joke. And then we talked, and I'm like, well, come on,
Yes.
it'll be fun.
Yes.
We have a good time, and I love the stories that come behind this. So basically, you have just birthed your business 2 months ago.
Yes.
A happy 2 months to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that. And I want to give a shout out to Monique, because of the connection
Yes.
with her. I wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
Amen. God has a way of working
Yes,
things
he
out.
does. Yes, he does.
And I'm going to be working that out at 6 o'clock, this
All
chicken and
right.
broccoli. But tell us what you have over here.
I have today, I prepared for you guys
Oh,
chicken Alfredo
yes.
potatoes
Oh,
with broccoli on the side. And that is one of, since I've been catering, I sell on Fridays and Saturdays. And this is my most popular suggested item.
Yes.
So
Signature.
a lot of times I have, there you go,
it's
my
Crystal signature. There it is, people. Get it.
And
Look at it.
they requested, and my husband was like, babe, they keep asking for it. I said, well, we just sold that. He said, you have to give the people what they want.
Yeah.
So I decided to prepare that for you all today.
Oh, and we're going to enjoy it. You better believe that.
Yes.
Okay, so you said you actually put it in the universe, followed through,
Yes.
and things are going great.
Yes, they are.
Okay, tell us about the importance of persistence, because you say you cooked and then following your passion, because even when people saw it in you, it was like, this girl is good, she can cook. And I'm talking old school, because I smell the aroma of this dish,
Right.
several inches from me. The importance of following your passion, and always it's always there, isn't it?
Yes, it's
Talk
always
about that.
there. It's very important to follow your passion, because you're doing what you enjoy to do. And some people wonder, well, what is it that I'm supposed to do? And I've been taught that is something that you would do, something that you love to do,
Without
and you would do it
for free. Yeah.
So this is something, if it's something that you love to do and you're in a place in corporate America or whatever you may be, and you're not comfortable in that place, that means because you're not supposed to be there.
Amen.
You're supposed to be doing what God has purposed you to do.
That's right.
You know, and it's very important to follow your dream. You know, don't listen to the naysayers. You know, every time you're trying to do something positive, you know, you're going to have someone to come in your ear to probably say something negative or
Crystal,
why are you
I
doing
call
that?
those the dream killers.
Okay, the dream killers.
Yeah.
That's a good word for
Yes.
them. But you have to close your ears to that negativity. And you have to do what's in your heart to do. You know, and if it's something that you like, I truly believe that God will make ways for you to let that baby be born.
Yes, that give birth to
your book
it.
be written.
Yes.
You know, your show,
Yes.
you're hosting your show, whatever it is. You know, and if you have it and you have that in the inside, you know, it's going to come.
You better believe it. And opportunities and where doors will close, windows will open.
Yes, I believe that.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here with you today.
And I'm
it's
just
an
so happy with it.
opportunity, and I'm honored, and I thank you.
No, darling, and I could not do this show if I did not have wonderful people willing to be honest and tell their situations. So now we gloating, but and everybody, I always say this, everybody knows or sees your glory, but they don't know your story. Tell us about the persistence and some of the perseverance and the time you may have said forget it, but then you said, you know what, I got to get back in this race.
Yeah. Well, you know, and during the time that I was getting ready to stop my job, doubt set in. The first week that I sold, I was selling on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Yeah.
The first day, Thursday, not one order.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, so now doubt is coming in.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing this. You know, why did you leave
Wasting
your
your
job?
time.
You know.
Right.
But then that next day, I had orders galore.
Whoop, whoop.
That next day, that Friday, I made more money in one day that I made working at that school in an entire week.
Girl, say it
You
again.
know? So it's.
You say you made what now?
I
Repeat
made
that.
more money in one day.
Working for somebody.
That's right. Than I did in an entire week working for someone else.
So she did it.
Yes.
People, Crystal is doing it.
Yes.
And she is a testimony. And she stepped out on faith. And it takes courage. And it takes not listening to the naysayers or the dream killers. It takes being around like-minded people. Let's talk a little bit about that and surrounding yourself around the right people.
Definitely. You have to. That is a must. You have to keep yourself surrounded around positive energy, positive people that's going to push you. I have a very good friend here with me today, Sunday, and she is a pusher.
We need
those.
those. Hey, we call it the hey pushy bestie.
I'm your pusher man.
You're right.
Her, and she does, and it makes a difference because where, you know, like when doubt sets in, you might get a message on Facebook or Instagram or something, and something encouraging that someone says something and it just sparks something in the inside. Oh, I'm going to do this. I can do this.
Exactly.
You know, so that's what it's very important to surround yourself around positive people because that energy can rub off on you versus your energy can rub off on them. You know, and it's you everyone needs someone to push them.
They do.
You know, because you can get so comfortable and you know when things may not be going right and just different things come up in your head and then here comes someone pushing you. Well, what happened? For an example, I didn't do anything for 3 weeks because I was moving.
Right.
And people was asking, well, you stop, you know, and that was encouraging to me because it's people out here that want what I have, that wants my product, you know.
And we're going to talk more about that. We got to take a break, but I'm motivated and I didn't want to stop, but we got to stop for sponsors. So keep us live. We'll be back with Crystal, www.urbannationradio.com. Stay here. Don't you go anywhere. Yeah. Back, everybody. We got caterer Crystal in the house, and she's just giving us some business love tips on how to step out on faith and get that business going and live your dreams. And we were just talking about surrounding ourselves around the right people and just going with the flow of that. So tell me, how is your husband taking to this? Because I know you said he was such a big help, and a shout out to, a good husband, a good man that will back your dream and be okay with it, because it takes a secure man to do that now,
Yeah. And like I'm grateful to that. He's excited about the business, but his excitement is not my excitement,
Uh-huh.
and I can accept that.
Yes.
Because it's my baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's what God gave this. Although he can cook as well.
All right now.
But this is something that I decided to do.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't decide to come up with this idea of catering and.
But the fact that you did, and he said, "Baby, go for it," and I got to give a shout out to that, because you'd be surprised at so many, unfortunately, that be like,
Yeah.
So you're a great husband that said, "Baby, go for it," surrounding yourself around the right people and just doing it. How are your kids?
They're wonderful. I have
Are
three
they?
children.
Uh-huh.
I have a son. He's 24.
You got a younger adult.
Yes.
Hey,
I
and
have three
we
young
got
adults.
our author has a younger adult.
And then I have another young adult.
Okay.
She's 23.
Okay.
And my baby young adult is 20.
Okay.
And I have two grandchildren, 3 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
So they're good, and they help out as well.
Hey,
when help is needed.
You know what?
Yeah.
I say mold them now, because you never
You
know.
never
Grandma
know.
may build
That's
a,
right.
restaurant, a franchise around here, and I'll have something. You know how to work
carry
this
on, that's
to
right.
carry on. But you don't look like a nine now. So you must be taking care of yourself, sister friend, because I would have never guessed that you were a nine now. Like, that's
Yes,
the new.
I am.
For those people who are listening to know what grandma is, that's the African American name for grandma. Now we say nana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, my children, they help when needed, and they don't mind, and I appreciate it. We have catering jobs have to set up.
Mm-hmm.
They come along with me and help, carry the items in, set the tables up. So they know how to set up and, cook some things, and they're very helpful.
Okay, so let's just say I want some chicken Alfredo and broccoli at lunchtime tomorrow. When can I actually order, or what time do you start actually accepting calls for orders or placing orders?
What I do is I post my menu both on Facebook and Instagram on Tuesdays. And I sell that same item on Friday and Saturday. So you have from Tuesday up until Friday at 10 a.m. to place your order.
Okay.
And if the orders are made or ordered prior to 10 a.m. and your lunch is at a specific time, for 5 or more lunches, they'll be delivered.
Okay.
And that's how I take
So
my
you
orders.
deliver. Hey, did you hear that, people? The sister delivers. Now, all you need is a max of 5 dinners or more for her to do that, because business owners have to pay for gas. So she needs at least 5 or more orders. Tell us, tomorrow is Friday. It's the weekend. What will be the special tomorrow? Do you know? Okay, that's okay. Let's just say, hypothetically, if I had some young girls in here and you're successful with your business, what would be some words of advice that you would give to some younger men and women who want to actually get into their business or a catering business, but are afraid, and they may have naysayers in their ears, or they may be doubtful? What's the best advice you can give them from go ahead and go and try?
Number 1, keep God first. Stay connected with God.
Okay.
That's number 1. Secondly, I would tell them to go for their dreams. If they're not certain in which avenue or direction to go into, click up with somebody that's doing what they're doing.
Exactly.
And
I call it
them tips.
hustling and terming. Yeah.
Repeat that
What are you
again.
doing? Show me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Right. And never be afraid to speak. Never be afraid to approach people. My children, they can ask me question after question after question, but the next person, you face to face with them, you go away. Ma, I wonder if you was right there. Why didn't you ask? Never be afraid to approach a person.
That's right.
And have yourself questions that you may want to ask about the business, and like I say, connect yourself with someone that's doing what you're doing, like the movie with Will Smith.
Oh my goodness, The Pursuit. Was it
Pursuit of Happiness?
Okay, yeah.
How he asked the guy, what are you doing and how can I do it? And he became successful, by asking the question. The guy gave him a chance. You never know. You may have to link up with someone and do internship. You may have to work for free, to get a understanding of the business or
Yeah.
get hands on what it is that you want to do. But yeah, that's what you do. Those
We
are some tips. That I
we
give.
had a chef last week, and she was like, I interned with some of the top people, and it's good. Whatever that person is good at, you want to make sure that if that person is the best at making a steak, and I want to be the next person that makes the best steak
You gotta link
or
up with them.
or lamb chops,
Hmm.
I want to surround myself around them. What
Yeah.
kind of fresh herbs are they using? Are they going to Eastern Market, etc.?
Right.
What time of the day are they getting up, chopping up vegetables, or are they letting their meats marinate?
Right.
It's important, if you want to become that next best, because you can only be one of you. We're not saying duplicate that person,
Right.
but you want to surround yourself around that person that's perfecting that,
Yeah.
so you can become the next perfection.
That's
Yes.
right. And you can become creative, like you just mentioned. You don't have to do exactly what they're doing because God has given all of us creativity. So you may do very good lamb chops, and I'm following you, and I can watch how you did, and I can add my little touch to it.
That's
and
right.
I
What a
have
twist.
my own,
That's right. I
So
couldn't
yeah,
agree
we all
more.
have creativity within us.
And your favorite meal. This is your signature dish, but what do you really like on a Sunday? If you cooking for the family, what do you get down with your heart and soul and be like, I want everybody here, and I want you to taste this? What's the first thing that comes to Crystal's mind when we think about that?
I love everything.
Woo,
So
me,
I
I'm
have
greedy.
no specific food.
No specific.
But macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
And fried pork chops, fried
Mm-hmm.
chicken. There's nothing really specific, to be honest with
Uh-huh.
you. You know, like I said, I like everything. And my family, they just roll with the punches, Nothing specific, whatever is put out there. And sometimes they may cook. But that is one of the, my family out of town, they always want the macaroni and cheese. They always want the salmon croquette.
Oh, and I love some
You know,
cookies with
but,
hot sauce.
Yeah.
Whoo,
White
baby.
rice,
Talking about
sugar.
yes,
Mhm.
something good, something good, something good.
Yeah.
Well, darling, our time has just about come to an end.
Okay.
But if people, again, tell people if they want to get a lunch tomorrow, what time you'll be starting that. People understand that if you want her to deliver, there has to be a minimum of 5. But where can they find you again at, Crystal?
You can find me on Facebook at Just Like Home Restaurant and Catering. You can find me on Instagram at Just Like Home Restaurant Catering. And I have a website, www.justlikehomerestaurant.com.
Tell the audience your website one more time.
www.justlikehomerestaurant.com.
And I know it's just like home, people, because I'm looking at it, and it's smelling just like home. It's looking just like home. And I'm tired, and I'm about to get into some of this good food. But everybody, I want to thank you once again for joining me for another session of the Cooks and Books Show. I hope you join me next Thursday at 5 p.m. at the same time. Until we talk again, people, have a safe weekend and be blessed. www.urbannationradio.com. It's your host, Adrienne Young, with the Cooks and Books Show. Take care and enjoy the rest of this fantastic Thursday.